Hadestown, the myth turned musical, the global phenomenon. I want to talk about Hadestown today, if you will, but I don't want to talk about the big present-day multinational production. I want to get pre-Broadway. And I don't just mean the 2018 UK tryout with 5 of the original Broadway leads, nor do I mean the 2017 Canadian production starring 3 of those 5 leads, nor do I even mean my beloved New York Theatre Workshop version from 2016 starring 2 of those 5 leads. We need to go back further still, before Amber Gray and Patrick Page ever took on those roles. Reach further, my friend, and further still. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. About 5 years ago, a video popped up on YouTube as uploaded by a Ben T. Matchstick entitled Hadestown Highlights 2007 Vermont Production, and I watched it and I was like, oh, this is it. This is the Hadestown for me. Now, my own first introduction to Hadestown was with the New York Theatre Workshop production of 2016, and I first listened to a recording of it in 2017, sort of at the height of my interest in the contemporary New York musical theatre scene, and it was around this time that the Hadestown creative team had just completed another mounting of the show in Canada, and next seemed to be making steps toward a Broadway debut. I sort of knew a little bit of the Orpheus and Eurydice myth from sort of cultural osmosis, and I really enjoyed what I heard of the New York Theatre Workshop version of Hadestown. The voice of a Mr. Damon Dorno, this incarnation's Orpheus, particularly captivated me at the time. I've never heard a man's falsetto be more genuinely beautiful than his, and it worked so well with the voice of Nabia Bey, the production's Eurydice. I adored the portrayal of the romance between the 2 young lovers, and I do believe that Damon Dorno could sing a song so beautiful that stone would weep and give way to him. I still dearly love the New York Theatre Workshop incarnation, but in seeking out the remains of its predecessor, the haunting, post-apocalyptic vibe of the 2007 production has sparked my imagination now, and I want to delve into it. Let us delve, and delve deep. Hadestown, in its current international, big-time Broadway production state, I believe still credits Ben T. Matchstick as the co-conceiver of the piece, the other half of a partnership between Anais Mitchell, the show's song and book writer. Matchstick was, it seems, the production's director and designer, as well as its Hermes, where Anais Mitchell was its Eurydice. And honestly, you go girl, I wish I had the guts to make and star in something myself as well. Someday, perhaps. The Hadestown of 2007 was, as described in the Burlington Free Press, a DIY community theatre project. In a radio interview from 2007 uploaded by Mid-Eye to YouTube, Mitchell herself describes the piece as
that in this sort of a post-apocalyptic American Depression era kind of a company town thing. So there's a lot of like the old-fashioned kind of symbolism of the 1930s and stuff, but sort of a futuristic version of that.
Mitchell and co. were able to put on their show with help from local arts grants and many individual supporters, and the 2007 version built upon a staging from the previous year. Here, in photos from 2006, we can see a group of folksy-looking musicians, a few shots of Mitchell as Eurydice surrounded by the Fates, Hades bathed in sinister light and then shredding on the accordion, but with the funding afforded to them, Mr. Matchstick was able to throw a bit more money at the set and costume and dig harder into that post-apocalyptic aesthetic. Look at his 2006 Hobo Prophet Hermes, who I would say does resemble the way Hermes of the 2016 New York Theatre Workshop production and the 2017 Canadian production looked, with the brown suit and the feather and the trilby, versus his 2007 Mad Coyote Electrician. Bro said, let me get weird with it, and a peek at the design sketches that he uploaded to his Instagram in 2019 show us a delicious look into his mind. It absolutely conjures up that 1930s Depression era end of the world. So we're going to view this highlights reel together, and with the help of some Instagram posts from Mr. Matchstick, who uploaded the highlights to YouTube for the world to see, we are going to turn back the clock and set our sights on the Hadestown of 2007 at Bellows Falls in Vermont, New England, Northeast United States of America. Take your seats and squint a little. The video quality is not so good, but the content is pure gold dust. This is Theatre Time Machine, I didn't actually see it myself edition. We open with a title card, Hadestown, a folk opera at Bellows Falls Opera House, on the 1st of December 2007. It's winter. A second title says, selected highlights, 12 minutes, but this video is only 10. We see Hermes lift an old carriage wheel onto his shoulder while we hear Orpheus's famous something that remains in the show almost 2 decades later. Next, the light comes up on Orpheus, portrayed by a Ben Campbell, and we see his lyre is a banjo. Subsequent Orpheuses have got guitars. Behind him, Eurydice warms her hands over a trash can fire. This is surely this concept art of matchsticks realised. Orpheus holding court. He's singing that la la la, and he's not the uncertain wet sandwich of a man that the Broadway production is, but an angry rebel already speaking out about how much he hates Hadestown. Here, Persephone, portrayed by Miriam Bernardo, in a white dress touching the masses, the ensemble that Ben T. Matchstick called the Utility Chorus in one of his Instagram posts, who made all the transitions possible, moving cables, platforms, stair units, moving like ninja Spider-Men in the shadows, the cockroaches of the underworld. Next, as the Utility Chorus bow down, we see Hades, reaching up a white-gloved hand to Persephone, helping her down, presumably, off the train into Hadestown. Then Orpheus and Eurydice. The lyrics have been fading in over the previous shots of Persephone and Hades. Helter-skelter the four winds scatter, the scavengers over the ravaged earth. This is Epic 1. Our young lovers sing together in front of that same trash can fire. Does this mean they sing about Hadestown together to open the show? When Orpheus holds court, Eurydice is at his side. Is she a storyteller too? This does, at least to me, show also that Orpheus and Eurydice are an established couple at the beginning of the story, which was maintained in the New York Theatre Workshop production, though they're playing coy with Wedding Song. And then it's turned into them being new lovers and like meeting for the first time in Broadway, if I'm right. Anyway, Hermes enters atop a junk-filled carriage. We hear an early version of Way Down Hadestown.
They call me the messenger, but that ain't half of who I am. I'm a man of influence.
Which would, according to Anais Mitchell's book, Working on a Song, Lyrics from Hadestown, in which she shares more pre-Broadway song lyrics, be followed by, I'm connected up and down and I got all the documents you need to get to Hadestown. He's got on steampunk goggles and lanterns swing off the carriage, lordy lordy. I am obsessed with him. Thrilled by the gravelly voice, sort of the wild and sinister energy. He crows into a microphone, and then we get a little bit more Way Down Hadestown. Skipping a bit forward as now we cut to Orpheus playing his banjo, lyre, singing...
It's a beating drum. If I do up just to cut you down, I'd rather stuff my pocket down in Hadestown. Way down under the ground.
Eurydice joins in with Orpheus and Hermes on the chorus too. I believe in the current version of Hadestown, Orpheus does not take part in this song, as his journey over the story has become about him discovering how bad Hadestown is. From these Vermont shows up until New York Theatre Workshop, Orpheus already knows, and I really miss that sort of angry call and response from Hermes and Orpheus. I think this is really good here. Then Hermes goes into Mr. Hades is a mighty king. The chorus gives us, must be making some mighty big deals. Seems like he owns everything. And then Eurydice kind of scurries over to grab the mic, coquettishly singing. And then Hermes, because he works for Hades, he's Hades' electrician who rigs power cables, and a coyote who gets people in extends his hand out to the utility chorus who descend upon his proffered company scrip. Remember, Hadestown is a company town, and Hades does not pay his workers in real money. This Hermes therefore feels a lot more sinister from these clips and to this specific action. But Mr. Matchstick says, Hermes to me would be more neutral and would be another ally to the lovers. He would be in contrast to the fatalistic fates, trying to understand them. I saw these two forces as directly opposed to one another, a sort of subliminal drama happening under the lovers' quadrangle for the fate of the universe. Fates representing winds of change, nothing changes, and Hermes representing lightning, microphone, microphone, microphone. And this, I believe, is the characterization that Hermes maintains in all productions after this one. But ooh, I love the drama of a sinister, complicit Hermes, perhaps slowly realizing sort of what he's doing over the course of the show. Next, a clip of one of the band members, presumably playing a violin, and the music we hear is the intro to Hey Little Songbird. We see green light and Eurydice picking something up off the ground. I can't really tell what. The green light disappears, and if my lip reading is correct, Eurydice is calling out Orpheus here. She called your name before you went, but I guess you weren't listening and all that. Then a short light stick held in someone's hand, possibly some illuminated faces, and then the light sources go out. We also hear the sound of phone ringing, and luckily to help us, we have another one of Mr. Matchstick's Instagram posts, explaining that the sound of the phone ringing is provided live by Mr. Matchstick himself, acting as Hermes, checking the connection as Hermes calls Eurydice. She has to answer it. She's hungry and needs ideas. As they sing, the connection gets stronger and she entangles herself in the cord. Snake emoji. He also says, "Notice how Hades is not holding a receiver. In the first productions, all props in Hadestown were pantomimed, giving a dreamlike/death-like quality of ethereality that became increasingly more unsettling." And now I do like that. I always enjoy when a piece of theatre has that like artsy vibe, that playful kind of engagement with imagination. Delicious. Mime away at me, sir. Now we've got another couple photos, presumably from that same scene then. Alternate looks at Eurydice tangled up in the phone cord. Matchstick says the song ends, "I'm already gone, I'm gone," and the fates snip the cord, scissors emoji. He goes on, Eurydice falls into the arms of the utility chorus, and it's whisked away into Chips Are Down, when the fates begin their remodelling of Eurydice as one of them. They rush her through a series of tests and procedures, including a photo ID, camera emoji, and injections. Injection emoji. The dehumanization of the new worker. So that's what's happening in this next clip with the blue lighting. What Matchstick describes here too is so interesting. The fates remodelling Eurydice into one of them. In another Instagram post, he describes how we accentuated Hades' power with the fates acting as his dead-faced assistants. The tragedy lay in the idea that Hades occasionally cycled these workers with a new addition, and Eurydice was supposed to be that new hire. This tension also added to a feeling of hostility between the fates. They did not like each other, but they were bound together. And they would surely be hostile to Eurydice too, as she could replace any one of them. So interesting. Everything just sort of points to Hades being kind of an irredeemably villainous character in this version, to be honest. So I'm surprised to learn about that when ultimately I do feel like present day Hades kind of gets the, but he loves her underneath it all, so maybe that's enough kind of treatment. Do you know what I'm saying? Eurydice leaves the stage following the fates, and the scene transitions with yet more of these live sound effects from Mr. Matchstick as Hermes, here breathing hard into the mic, making the sound of the train while the ensemble makes howling noises like the train's whistle. Next clip is Eurydice on the train with the fates, a classic bit of on-stage miming. Everybody wiggle. Now a male figure bathed in blue light. I believe it's Hades based on what I can see of the costume, and according to Mitchell's book, this is a conversation between Hades and Hermes. The fates are there too, and all we can see is their blue faces as they echo the conversation.
You've been around the world and back, haven't you, Hermes? I have. How's the weather?
Worse than ever. How's your wife?
My wife is fine.
You've been spending a lot of time together. Haven't you, Hades?
And then the camera whips around to Orpheus, illuminated in green. It seems this version of Hermes has displeased Hades by allowing Orpheus onto the train, with the conversation continuing, apparently intercut with Wait For Me's chorus. What have you brought? The latest crop, the freshest cut, a cut above. How many of them? A lot, a few too many perhaps. What's this? Why have you brought me Orpheus? I know I never ordered that. It seems you've gone behind my back, haven't you, Hermes? What was that? What was what? I heard a voice. I heard it not. Someone singing. I heard nothing. Some kind of song. You could be wrong. It could have been the wind. The wind. It could have been the rain. The rain. It could have been the train. The train. The train. The train. Our Lady of the Underground. Persephone performs for the utility chorus, dressed now in an evening gown with a brown bodice and a black skirt. Behind her, the fates carry silver serving trays and all dressed in similar but not identical white dresses, sort of like ghoulish nurses. In present-day Hadestown, I think Persephone's joint is supposed to evoke a speakeasy, and of course during this song, we kind of get the impetus of the piece, the crack in the wall that in fact the work was originally titled for, I believe, according to Matchstick. The poster for this production shows us one of those old-timey coin-operated telescopes, and in context it's this that Persephone is selling, a view into the outside world, a little peek at, freedom. Here, with the illuminated walls in cold blue, and the way in this next clip, she hands something down to the masses with like a sort of pinched, cupped hand. I don't know, it feels more like she's administering people their daily pills. Of course, coupled with the fate nurses, it's sort of giving psychiatric hospital. She's passing out a stash of drugs from the hospital. Now, how, dear viewer, do you see this? Do you interpret her sort of hand shape the same way? Passing those down? Have your pills? Next, a guard leading away a member of the chorus with his head bent down. This character appears a lot in photos from this and the 2006 production too, and according to this Reddit post, this character is named Cerberus, who acts as Hades' personal guard, as opposed to call to the mythological canine Cerberus who guarded Hades' kingdom. Cerberus the guard was portrayed by musician Sarah Grace, who commented on the Reddit post with, "That's me, Cerberus, LOL. There's only one Cerberus in the history of Hadestown, and, well, I'm a sucker for a hot butch." And then the camera pans over to Eurydice, who we now see, yes, dressed as the Fates are in a nurse outfit.
If it's me you're looking for, Orpheus, I can't be with you anymore.
She laments. Eurydice singing at this point in the story would become Flowers later down the line, but what she sings here is in fact a reprise of Everything Written, which was an Orphidice duet from the beginning of Act 1 that would be replaced later by Wedding Song. Quickly though, we cut over to a clip where we hear Epic 3.
She held in her hand.
First, a shot of Cerberus, now leading Orpheus away. I've also got a photo here, presumably from around this point in the story. Papers going into If It's True. Orpheus on his knees, along with a couple of workers, presumably ones who have joined in his uprising, now caught by Cerberus. A brief clip of Hades adjusting a microphone. Then the Fates bathed in yellow light, hands raised, and we hear the line,
Pollen that fell from her fingertips. And suddenly, Hades was only a man with a taste of nectar on his lips.
I think it's a hideous, horrendous travesty that Epic 3 was so thoroughly butchered in the Broadway version, and that all the subsequent tours and international productions have maintained the pathetic downgrade lyrics that are,
But if I love a beautiful lady, who out from above, in a mother's green field, I fell in love with Persephone, who was gathering flowers in the light of the sun. And I know how it was because he was like me. And then, he loved her, singing la 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 la.
when they once were.
But even that heart is suddenly, when he saw Persephone, your love was gone. The sun on her shoulders, smell the flowers she held in her hand, and the pollen fell from her fingertips. And suddenly, salty and the taste of nectar on her lips.
In fact, I watched a clip of Broadway's Epic 3, and I was actually a little bit flabbergasted by the choice to have Hades give like a sassy little quip, making way for the audience to laugh uproariously before this too, and it was uproarious! The laughter lasted a full 12 seconds. Maybe I happened to click on like a video of Patrick Page's last performance or something. Truly, I could make a whole video on the agony of the shambling corpse that is Broadway's Hadestown Epic 3, but maybe the audience should laugh. Because to me, all it sounds like is the jeering for the watered-down, spoon-feedy lyrics that are about to come. Oh, you don't understand poetry. Oh, he was like me, a man in love with a woman. Oh, you need me to spell it out for you? Lame. I do not believe that these lyrics could move a tyrant, or anybody. They certainly do not move me. Anyway. Calm down, Loren. Remember what you're here for. We're only in 2007. None of that's even happened yet. What am I even talking about? The Fates. So, with their hands raised, to me, the yellow light is the pollen, and they are Persephone's fingertips. Behind them, Persephone walks up to Hades, who stands looming above Orpheus, who crouches, shirt off. And he delivers his song. Female voices join in with Orpheus's la 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 as Persephone kisses Hades and then walks away. Hades collapses in on himself, and it looks like maybe he removes a pair of glasses, kind of struggling with it. I also wonder if this Persephone here is more like a memory and a vision, rather than her actually being present in this scene. Next, we've skipped a little bit and moved into Orpheus playing Lover's Desire on his banjo, now standing, shirt still off, but his jacket is back on, while the Fates stand ominously behind him. A lot of ominous standing in this version. Green and yellow light plays over his face as he strums. I absolutely adore Lover's Desire. I think it's one of the most beautiful bits of music in the whole piece, and it absolutely sort of like evokes the image of springtime love first blossoming to me. I think the 2010 concept album version of this track probably most closely resembles this 2007 version, as the lead instrument sounds like the banjo to me, and the track opens with the sound of radio static calling to the connections that Hermes rigs up. The removal of this little musical interlude is deeply felt when I did listen to the Broadway album. Oh, Lover's Desire. I miss Lover's Desire. A devastating, devastating loss. I'd be interested to know, though, if Hades and Persephone danced during it, because it sort of seems like they didn't in the 2007 version. To me, that kiss that Persephone gives Hades looked very much like a goodbye kiss. She probably walked off and he was just sobbing through Lover's Desire. The next clip is of the Fates seemingly trying to steady Hades as he lurches forward, arms tight at his sides all off-kilter. With his ghostly white face, it's easy to imagine this version of Hades coughing with the black lung. I can totally see him as somebody who's more drugs and machine than man, barely clinging to humanity. The music changes to Hades' sinister accordion solo from His Kiss the Riot, and we see another shot of Orpheus playing his banjo lyre while Hades, behind him, runs his fingers through his hair, seemingly tormented. I think that does say to me that Persephone left him during Lover's Desire and they didn't reconcile and dance like in later productions. I feel like, ooh, maybe someday one of the team is going to see this and be like, you're wrong, Loren, they did dance, but I like the juice of her leaving him. I like the juice of her leaving him. Then the imagery catches up with the music, and we can actually see Hades with his accordion. I know that Patrick Page didn't play the accordion. I don't think any Hadeses since have played the accordion, but I've got some photos and Instagram commentary from Mr. Matchstick here again. He says, David Simons is an amazing performer, and we shocked everyone when this devil procures from under his bed an accordion. The audience laughed at first. The accordion-playing devil, I guess, countered the fright he was supposed to be giving at this moment. As the Fates helped him strap it on, I directed him to start breathing heavily. Hey, what did I say about Hades having the black lung? He then let his accordion breathe long and loud. When he started ripping into His Kiss the Riot, it was raw and full of rage. God, I love when actors are musicians on stage. As the video clip plays, then the music melts into Doubt Comes In. Another dark, barely intelligible clip of a band member playing us the music. Thank you, band members. We love music. Then the clip switches to one of Mitchell as Eurydice, now with her old Act 1 coat back on over her nurse outfit, singing... And the camera moves between her, set back a ways on stage, and Orpheus up front. I've got another photo I think must be from this part, but the lighting is much more dramatic. Hadestown fans, I know you know what comes next. Orpheus, the undersigned, does indeed turn to look behind. Now we have Orpheus lamenting, and then see him.
What have I done? Tell me, what have I done? Tell me, why did I try it all? Like Icarus, flying as high as the sun, I set myself up for the fall.
This, according to Mitchell in her book, is a song called Cloud Machine that she was apparently embarrassed about looking back on. Then the camera moves and we see Persephone back in her white dress, her above ground costume, and now I recognise that what she's singing will become I Raise My Cup to Him. I love the doomed by the narrativeness of what she's saying here. You've played your part. It was all already written. Hadestown, in its current state, is sort of played like a time loop, where Hermes, seemingly the only one able to perceive the story for what it is, declares, we're gonna sing it again, go again. And we even see Eurydice come back out on stage, back in her, above-ground costume, repeating her first line. I feel like this hear Persephone's a little bit of what she's singing could certainly call to that concept. It's interesting also that Orpheus does a lament here, because in the Hadestown of the present, once he turns around, he doesn't sing again. That's it. That's it for our man Orph. We get a short clip of someone crumpled on the ground now. I presume it is our man Orph, devastated after his failure to retrieve his wife. We hear Eurydice's voice, and then the camera pans over to her, flanked by the Fates, back in her nurse's white dress.
Oh, go to sleep, you weary hobo. Lay back and close your eyes. I know you've seen a lot of sorrow. I know you've heard a lot of lies.
This song is Hobo's Lullaby, which appears on Mitchell's album, The Brightness. But instead of goodbye, goodbye to Hades, goodbye, Hadestown, the album lyrics are goodbye, goodbye to Main Street, goodbye, Company Town. She recorded this album after the 2007 production, and the song didn't move forward with the show itself, but I guess she liked it enough to record it for the album, which also features a track, Hades and Persephone, which is essentially the song How Long from Hadestown, which she may have written after the 2007 production and then decided to bring forward. Again, without being able to see and get a real time machine. I can't actually tell you for sure, because I didn't work on the show, and I also didn't see it, but I wish that I did. So this is presumably the final image of the show, Eurydice, doomed to her fate, as a fate, bidding a final goodbye to Orpheus, the lyrics of the song suggesting that he goes on to a long life of toil, and shows us that the time loop concept hadn't been considered yet. We hear applause, Eurydice walks off stage, and the video ends. And that's all we've got. Comments on the video suggest that at some point there did maybe exist a full recording of this incarnation, but if that's true, then that video is sadly lost to time. But now I also have another post from Mr. Ben T. Matchstick, and it came with Instagram commentary that I think is very interesting. Obviously, the tone of Hadestown, particularly this incarnation, is quite dark. So here we have a photo of Hades on his knees, glaring up. Hades, confronted by workers who have been ignited by a revolutionary action. From the 2007 production, directed by Ben T. Matchstick, photo by Rick Levinson. The current iteration on Broadway has references to the workers' rebellion, but it never gets there. In fact, Hades gets a pass at every turn. In early versions, Hades charms, but is ultimately a rapist, and the show ends with the security forces no longer protecting him. Interesting, because this suggests that while in this version of the tale, though Orpheus did not succeed at freeing Eurydice, he did succeed at inspiring some sort of visible change within the story before the curtain falls. Then Mr. Matchstick goes into a bit more of a review on the changes made to the piece under the helm of director Rachel Chavkin, who he says was not interested in the early productions, and it shows. The mythic and historic do not resonate. It's the happiest ending for Mr. Underworld. It's a status quo ending. Hades keeps on. Gosh, this really does make me wonder about Lover's Desire then. I think I'm right. I think they broke up. From the New York Theatre Works production onwards, Hades and Persephone are inspired to dance with each other, Orpheus succeeding at reminding Hades about, well, love. Hades invited Eurydice to Hadestown, and we presume to know what happens behind closed doors, only to find out that it's just a costume change. Eurydice shows no signs of resistance or trauma, and so we can assume that she merely signed some paperwork. No big deal, but the evidence still stands. I'm less in agreement about this, as I think I've read that people still manage to infer the idea that Hades may have had his non-consensual way with Eurydice based on the song Flowers, and she is indeed deeply traumatized by it. Hades is oppressing his workforce, and Persephone is contractually bound to spend her time with him. He's an abuser, he's a capitalist, he's a wrongdoer, he's raping planet Earth and building walls, but Persephone is willing to try again next year. This makes me wonder. Matchstick here says Persephone is willing to try again next year. It sounds like he may have been in the camp of girl leave him, and also it does suggest that maybe there was no conversation, no dialogue between Hades and Persephone. That bit, just before the Wait For Me reprise when he's like,
Hades, you let them go.
I let them try.
And how about you and I? Are we going to try again?
It's time for spring. We'll try again next fall.
Wait for me.
there's none of that. There was never any of that. Am I right? Name the enemy. Hades would like everyone to believe. The enemy is poverty. He builds his town upon that idea. If he's wrong, what or who is the enemy in Hadestown? You know what? I think this is a valid take. I suppose in some way you can see Persephone as being just as bound to Hades as she is to the narrative, as all the characters are. And in that way, the tragedy itself tells us nothing changes, nothing changes, nothing changes. Anyhow. What a downer. I dig it though. Sometimes you just want to see a whole bunch of stuff go wrong and feel a little devastated, maybe have a cathartic little cry about it in a room full of strangers. What an interesting look, though, at the early version of this massive musical theatre success that it has grown into. I have a very deep affection for shows like this, small, scrappy productions where the passion just spills out of them, and every so often then someone with a fat wallet will come along and take it further, but I always like to take a fond look back. So did you see the 2007 Vermont shows of Hadestown? Were you in them? If you've got memories to share, let me know in the comments. I genuinely want to know everything that I can possibly find out about this production. I discovered there was a Flickr album that I could not access because the person who uploaded it had taken it down, and I was devastated. Any scrap of Hadestown, Vermont you can send my way, please do. Please, please do. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you've made it this far, thank you, and you will see me again if there is another one. Goodbye.